Hello everybody, this is Erica with Save On Designs, and today we are going to make some coasters. And these designs kind of came about a year ago. My son was graduating from his transition program at school, which is 3 years or until they're 21, that kiddos with some disabilities can go to a kind of life skills and some things like that. And he had some really great teachers during that time, and I wanted to make him some gifts. So I actually did some sun catchers, and then I made these coasters. So this one was one of the ones, I tried to do a couple masculine ones, and it says, because multitasking ninja isn't an official job title, special education teacher, because multitasking ninja isn't an official job title. So I kind of had fun with them. And never really released a file with any words before, but I did shrink that edge down a little bit and do these coasters, which were pretty popular. I sold quite a few at events this year. And what really triggered these was this whiskey barrel print that Smoky Hills came out with. And I just said, yeah, that has to be a coaster. So these are some prints that I've done and sold, some different ways that they can be used. This one is an eco wood. This one is an eco coated wood. So I use both in these. Middle is acrylic, and that is because it is non-porous, and we want that so when we set our drinks on it, it's not gonna soak into that wood. This one's all acrylic. So but there were some different ways to do it. Here's kind of a fun one. It's got a beachy, oh, that light's really bad, beachy tone to it, and I use the whitewash eco wood for that. Here's one that's all black. So there's a lot of things you can do with that, or with this file, these files. But what we're going to do today is a little more Mother's Day themed. Some of it is very specific to mothers, others are just pretty. And moms like pretty things. So first I'm going to talk about the acrylic that I get to do these. You saw some that were solid, so there's a lot of different options. But if you like the colored acrylic options, these are from Smoky Hill. They're their pattern ply. And they get confusing when you order them sometimes. I'm just going to take this top off the paper. And I put 3M on the back, which we'll talk about more. But this is on clear acrylic, but the print's on just one side. So when you order it, it has to be full coverage, because transparent isn't going to work. You see right through it. So it needs to be transparent, but you select two-sided, and then it does a drop down, and you can select your 1/8 inch clear. And this is how it'll come. It'll have the print on the back and the clear on the front. So there's no pattern. This is just clear acrylic on the front. And this is a little plastic razor blade. It's great for getting that off. Doesn't scratch the acrylic. If I'm doing something on the back and don't care, this is a lot easier. So the Mother's Day files, I've got a couple different going on. There's some flowers and butterflies, and then there are some word ones. But first I'm going to show you, because they're both kind of set up the same. They're just a little different in what comes out. I'm going to show you what comes with the file. So these are a little bigger than the other coasters that I just showed you, because we want that edge to be big enough to show this design. So this is basically what you need to make one coaster. So when I first started making these, this ends up being extra, and this piece ends up being extra because we're really just doing 2 double circles, just like that. And then, whoops, get in the screen here. One goes in the other. So I end up with these 2 pieces left, and I'm looking at that going, well, goodness, that is just like a little coaster in and of itself. So there's 2 options in the file. One will cut this butterfly, this butterfly design like this. So you get these pieces, and then you have to just cut one more of this size. And when you do that, this ring goes around here and you get this flat little coaster, which is kind of fun. It doesn't have the rim, and you might say, well, are we concerned about moisture getting down in there? We might be, but I have been using this one in my laser room for over a year. It's pretty gunky and probably needs cleaned, but I don't see any kind of warping or any problem around here at all. And part of that is when this is lasered, it kind of seals it off a little bit. It's not going to make it waterproof, but it's going to be more water resistant. The other piece is 3M that you use on the back of this is moisture resistant as well. So if some water got down there, it's not really going anywhere. The other question I got when I first made these was, well, will the acrylic melt with heat on it? I did look up the temperature at which acrylic melts, and if you're drinking your coffee that hot, you have other problems. So we're not worried about heat with these at all. So then this is the only piece you have left. You get 2 coasters, and I like these. I use these for some of my keychains. I'll use the other scrap pieces and small pieces and the 3M. And that's another conversation for another time. So now I wanted to show you really quick how I clean the EcoWood stuff. I usually don't spray on directly. Sometimes I do, but this is just alcohol. You could use Clorox cleanup wipes, work well. Baby wipes sometimes. I don't always like the smell of baby wipes. They're awful perfumey. And I am just gonna use my little microfiber cloth and get all that laser schmutz off. And there's a lot on this one. I would help if I was using the wet spot of the rag too. Okay. So this is how I'm prepping everything. One thing that is nice with the EcoWoods, both the Eco-Coated and the EcoWoods, is that they can be paint filled. I did run into a problem with the maple or birch. I'm not sure which one it was, but I'm going to show it to you. When I did the paint fill, and let me see if I can get this up close. I don't know if you guys can see that paint sort of ran into the grain a little bit. I didn't have trouble with any of the other woods, but this one was definitely really, really bad. So again, I'm not sure if you can see that. I was a little disappointed with that. The other woods didn't do it. I was going to do a whole tutorial on the paint fill, but it's kind of long and boring. So I pre-prepped this piece, and I'm going to just show you guys. This is a sunflower design. And just got my brush, still has some of that green paint on it. I did this just a few minutes ago. It's already dry. When we're doing that tiny little score, it doesn't take long for it to stick. When you are doing the scoring, so these files are all set up to score, not engrave. I did include some little score testers in the file, so you can test and see how deep your score is going to be or if it's enough. And you might want to do that beforehand. And since they were pretty flowers and it's kind of around Mother's Day, I put a little hole in the top. So if you wanted to cut 2, Mom can have some earrings as well. But here we are with this. It's dried. I'm just going to get some water on my paper towel here. Oh, I was going to talk to you about painting it first. One thing with this, with the MDF, your paint is sticking to the MDF engrave. So that's why you want this to be deep enough. And that's also why we do the score tester, to make sure that you're really hitting that MDF down there, because that's what it's going to stick to. But that also means it's going to stick to the sides. So you have to be pretty careful when you're painting. Inside doesn't really matter. because that's going to be covered up with acrylic. But on the outside, it'll definitely stick. So, you know, what I did was I was kind of doing this way, and then feathering it out to be sure I could get all those edges and keep it from hitting the edge. Now I will wipe it down. And we're going to take that top layer of paint off, and behold, the rest is going to stay in those crevices. For something bigger like an engrave, I have paint filled those before. In fact, the special education teacher one was more of an engrave. And for that, you're probably going to use a little more paint. And I have this really fun tool I'm going to show you. I think for this one, I used a credit card to kind of squeegee that in. And then I discovered this little tool, and I will do a link to it in the comments of the video. But you can use that to kind of get that paint really filled in. This just kind of falls in those score lines, but with the engrave, there's just a little bit more. So you've really got to push that paint down in. And this piece of birch or maple, I'm not really sure which one it is, did not run at all. And this is an eco-coated wood, so there we go. Might have just been the piece that I had, which I was cutting from some misfit wood that I ordered, and I've never done a misfit before, so I don't know if that maybe had to do with it. This was one that I cut before I got that misfit wood, and it actually worked out great. There were a couple spots that I could cut and know would be covered up, like maybe a little knot or something that didn't take that caused it to be a misfit. But yeah, that looks really nice. And we'll put something pretty in there. Maybe I might cut some green acrylic. I've got another one that I did some green acrylic on as well, sitting around here somewhere. I'll show you some of these finished products when we get down to them. Oh, there it is. And I'll show you now. This one is just a matte green. Not sure where I got this. Might have been from Con Acrylic or Houston Acrylic. It's one it's matte on one side, shiny on the other. So I did the matte matte side, and then this is the same paint fill color. This is on, is it called Oak Barrel? I think is the Eco Wood. And so it looks a lot different, but that'll look nice in there too. So I may cut another one of those for this one. But onto this one, I was going to show you one more thing. If you don't want to paint fill, but you want it to stand out, this one actually did engrave pretty well, but this is just a simple dry erase marker. And you can go in with this. I had a couple spots that didn't, on another piece, some of the words just didn't get quite as dark as I wanted them to. And so I did this and it popped them right out. I'm not sure we're going to be able to tell much of a difference. I'm going to use the same paper towel, but I'm using a dry spot, not a wet spot. And wiping that right off. So I'm not sure if you can tell, it does look a little darker to me. More black than brown. So actually I am going to go over the rest of this really quick so I remember where, I guess I could see where it stopped. So I guess I shouldn't worry about that. We don't need to watch this. All right. So that is an option as well to get that design to kind of pop. And actually, you know what, I am going to do the rest of it because I'm going to assemble this one. And I don't really want to do this after it's assembled. Looks like we stopped right about there. All right. on that spot. This part goes a lot faster than the paint, and that looks really nice. Not too worried about the laser schmutz on that because it's going to cover it up. One thing in the file, this is really kind of a complicated file for as simple as it is, and I tried to make it as easy as possible to read and understand, so it's kind of color coded, so anything that is in blue you cut with 3M on the back. These base pieces are really the only piece that you're going to cut without 3M. Oh, and I don't think I showed you that. With the finished items, I then put just like 3 pieces of cork, or I had some with some felt as well as an option. So hopefully that makes that a little easier. And then the instructions, I have them all labeled alphabetically, like A goes on B, or put B on A, and put C on D, and then attach the 2. So hopefully that's not too confusing. But yeah, when I opened it up to make these, I really had to read my own instructions, because you're just looking at a whole bunch of circles and sizes of circles, and it kind of is really confusing. So when I do that, I'm just going to line those up. 3M does give you a little wiggle room if you need to pull it apart. Once you are ready for it, be sure you're ready for it. It's really hard to get off once you've pressed down. I have pried it apart before, but I'd rather not, because it will damage the wood wherever you're prying it into. And voila, same with these. 3M on this one. When I line up these designs, I don't necessarily have, if I can kind of get them together, I will. If I get one section together, it might look funny without the other sections, so I'll kind of move it around so your eye's not drawn to one spot too much. 3M on the back of this. And I always try to, if there's, these are pretty abstract, but these butterflies seem to be mostly facing up. So I'm kind of looking at the grain of the wood that's running this way. And that just may be me being a little picky. But there we go. And you have a finished coaster with a pretty little butterfly edge to it. Now your bonus coaster, which just feels appropriate for Mother's Day. You make your mom something and you get something else in return. So mom gift and a coaster for you. Or you can give them both to mom. Or maybe you just want to make them for yourself because you like butterflies. So same process. Ring on here. We just don't have a ring on this one. And now that's a nice little flat coaster. And we'll finish those up with some felt or cork bottoms. And I'm going to show you some of the others that I've put together. There's a bunch of them. So there's some sunflower. There's kind of a daisy design. These are the word ones. And there are 3 of them. Yeah. So this one says, momming is hard, stay hydrated. So kind of a little bit of a funny one. This one is Proverbs 31:28. So we have a more scripture one. And then this one is just, you are the reason for everything I was, everything I am, and everything I will ever be. So just kind of a nice little mom sentiment there. And this one I haven't finished yet. So I can stick that in there. The rose looks really nice with that walnut. And I love these prints. These are newer ones from Smoky Hill. I'm a sucker for anything watercolor, so I like those a lot. This is just a nice one. This one goes with that sapele really nice. You've got those orangey undertones. Looks really nice and fancy. We've got some fun purple there. This is just kind of a fun acrylic that I had sitting around for a while, so I thought I would try that. That peachy color looks nice with the cherry wood. I'm not a great big fan of the birch in general, but sometimes it's okay. And I did spray that directly on there. I probably shouldn't have. And the only reason I say that is sometimes that moisture can get down under the cut if it sits on there too long and kind of warp that top coat a little bit. So yeah, these are a few that I've finished. Here's some others that are ready to go. I think that's from their new neutrals. It's one of the sage colors. Here's that peachy pink again in a bigger one. And those are just ready to get their final insides. So I think that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, absolutely let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. If you came across this video and you're not part of my Facebook group, feel free to come find us. We are Laser Love with Sabon Designs, and a great group, lots of helpful tips and tricks, and supportive community. Thank you, everyone.